So what we are going to do today, we are not going to need the full hour and a half. So we will probably go home a little bit earlier. This evening, we're going to do three things today. I'm going to talk to you about three things today mostly. One is, the first is about briefly the questionnaire, the end of the course questionnaire. The second thing is about the exam. That is the main topic. And the third thing is about the final report that is, of course, strongly related to the exam. So let me start. So I'm going to use these slides. These are the introductory slides. So slide that you have since September, October, nothing new in written. So let me remind you this. Let me remind you that the end of course questionnaire, GPD in Italian, JCT in English are out. And since last year, everyone is presented with the choice to fill it out before enrolling to the first exam they want to take. Despite being presented, it's not mandatory to fill it out. If you scroll down in the end, there is a button that says skip or something like that. So if you have to fill it out randomly, just scroll down and select skip. If you want instead to fill it out properly, not randomly at least, whatever the response is, then do it. So this slide is there from last year, and hopefully I plan to put a similar slide also next year. You see, last year we got 93% of full responses on the questionnaire. Maybe we can try to do better this year, I don't know. I know that some of these answers were totally random, because you can recognize some answer that really either people don't follow the course, that is not possible, or some answers were clearly not random. A few of them, of course. And as I said at the beginning of the course, we of course read, the numbers. Numbers are nice for this course, and open critiques and open comments, positive or negative, and especially the negative one, if they are reasonable and based on evidence, we try to incorporate them in the next edition of the course, like we did last year this year with these three critiques, just for, or we tried to do this year with these three critiques. Just to remind you, the better explanation of what is the final project, we dedicate 1 hour and a half the second day of the lesson, on the first week on Wednesday, to just talk about the final project that was new this year. Maybe it worked well or not, but that's something we try to tackle this critique. More interactivity, I tried at least, and we added more practical parts with respect to last year. And we all hopefully give you more guidance on the projects during the lab than in the past, and then you will tell us if it was enough or too much or too little or anything else. But these are things that emerge from last year's questionnaire, and we tackled them in this way. So any comments, critique that you want to do anonymously in the end of questionnaire, end of course questionnaire, are welcome. We read all of them, and we take seriously all of them, and we dismiss maybe some of them because maybe they don't make sense or they're not really understandable or factual correct. But still, if they are, we of course consider them in planning the new edition of the course. But in any case, we read them, and we either agree or disagree with them, but we read them, and we appreciate every feedback that we receive. Just for the fact that you spend time to writing something in the free form. So this was last year questionnaire. You now have the opportunity to fill out this year questionnaire. So please, as I said again, Do it at your best, not randomly if possible. If you don't want to skip, to fill it out again, at the end of the page there is like a skip or ignore or whatever button when you enroll to the exam for the first time. Otherwise, I'm already thanking you, well, also people that will listen to the recording, for the time you spend on the questionnaire. And that was the first part. The second part is about the exam. So let me go down to the slides about the exam. This is like in the past. This one. So in February or after, you will have the exam of this course. So as you already know, the big portion of this course is the project development that you are now completing. The development. The second thing is the heuristic evaluation you did as part of assignment 3, and that is whatever you delivered by the deadline that is evaluated up to 6 points according to the criteria that are in the individual assignment document. And then there is the oral discussion as a group on the project that will be at the exam. So quickly or not on the 3 steps, and then if you have any question after this part, I can answer to those. So the project development you're doing it in team. For the exam, you have to deliver 2 things. One is the final report, describing the entire process that you did in this course. So there is no limiting length to the report. It could be as long as you need. Keep in mind that the teacher of your slot will read and evaluate things according to what you write in the report. So if you don't write something in the report, we don't know how you did things, and so probably you did it. We cannot give you score for those things. So explain what you did, explain the motivation, explain the process. The clearer you are, probably the better is for you for the score, because you give us the instruments to give you a score, to evaluate how well or how bad you did something. But if you don't tell us, we cannot read your mind, and so we cannot give you a score, and that means that you get 0 for that part. Well, not for the entire project, but for the specific part where you don't have any clarification on that. So write what you did. And the structure, the final report should help you, but of course then you have to write things there. So the final report is a document, not a set of slides, but just a document, like a document in PDF, a Word document or whatever, transformed in PDF, that tell us the process, the execution, the outcomes of all the group assignment, including assignment 5. And that PDF will need to be in your group repository, the one named as your group. The other things you need to deliver for the exam is the source code of the prototype, and that will be in your other group repository, the one that is named as your project, not as your group. So we are going, both these things need to be online on the repositories on GitHub 7 days before the date you decide to be at the exam. And in those 7 days, we just read them and evaluate them to be ready for the exam day. So at the exam day, we have already read everything and have had a look at everything you submitted. So we are like prepared and just ready to listen to you. In those 7 days, typically we also evaluated the heuristic evaluation that is individual and that you already delivered, so there is nothing for you to do, it's just us doing the work. And then there is the oral discussion on the project that will happen during the exam, at the exam day or in the day after the exam day, depends how many groups will enroll to an exam. And this is mandatory. It's not that it can be skipped. And we dedicate around half an hour for each group, including the presentation, but also including our question to the group. And I have a separate slide on this. So I will talk about the oral discussion on that slide. Keep in mind that you can attend the exam whenever you want in this year, in this academic year, and the project will be valid until the end of the academic year, so until the session in September included. Next year, the project will not be valid anymore, and you have to redo the course entirely, all the parts of the course. So since 20 plus 6 plus 4 is 30, we kept additional point, maximum 2. That could mean 0, it means 1, could be 2. For particular effort, presence, participation during the course, for a particular quality and creativity of the project that you developed, and for a particularly good oral discussion, including the presentation and including the capability to answer to our questions. Okay, so this put to the, if you get the maximum on every step, you get the lode, basically, with the 30. Well, then here there are the evaluation criteria. You can read them, but you should already know about it. One question that you can expect at the oral discussion is about the individual contribution. We typically, if you don't forget, we ask every group at the end of discussion, how do you split the work in the group? Across the semester, but specifically on assignment 5. That is the assignment we see less from you during the course. The others, we have a picture of what's going on. So that is a question that we ask, and it happened that some groups said, well, actually, this person, this couple of people worked more than the rest of the group, and we took them in consideration for the final score. So don't have problem in saying that if it's true. We typically tend to add to the others that work more instead of removing from the people that work less. We tend to do that if possible. But individual contribution is the heuristic evaluation for course, but also in group projects. So this is a question you can expect to receive and be prepared and try to be honest. And if you answer, because it happened, if you answer to the question, no, we all contributed equally, no difference, please don't come to me 5 minutes after complaining that a team member of yours just worked less and gave and received the same score as you did, because I just asked you 5 minutes before, and that is the moment to talk. Before the exam is the moment to talk, not after. After the exam, after we give you the score, it's too late to talk. So if you have anything to say to us, say it before or during, never after. After is too late. You had opportunities, we ask you that question specifically to give any of you an additional opportunity to point out a different kind of contribution along the project, along the semester.
But I think if, for example, if I want to say that this person or this person worked more, probably kind of tension
I totally understand that, but it's also like, we sometimes talk, you said, not you, but you in general said at a certain point, well, this will be in real life. Well, in real life, tension happens and conflict happens. So if you have any problem within the group, someone worked a little bit more, a little bit less, well, more is not a problem. Like if you say this other person work more, this other person will be happier. So it's not that you are removing something from you, it's the other one. To say that the other person work less, so either the other person knows it because you keep an honest and transparent communication within the group whenever possible, or if you have to say something, say it to us privately, maybe before, not after. So one thing that happens more than once, was that I asked the group, to their group, did you work equally, etc. And they answered, yes, we all work equally. And then, okay, the score is 28. Okay, yes. And then 5 minutes after, he came to me and said, well, actually, he worked less. Why you give a 28 to him? And that is, I just asked you 5 minutes ago the same question, and you say it's fine, now you are changing your mind. So you have like a semester to complain if you want for a team member, and if you just do it after the exam, that is the worst possible moment to do it. So if you have something to clarify in the group, do it in the group, do it with us before the exam, not after, before or during the exam. But in any case, we will, well, it's not that they worked less, it's just an example of a full group in front of me. But we will ask this question to every single group if we remember, but typically we do, okay? I happen to say in this course, but also in others, that we are not in kindergarten anymore. So I hope that everybody is mature enough to speak up and take the responsibility of what they did. Okay, and oral discussion. So the oral discussion, despite being 4 points, is actually quite critical. It's quite critical because it gives us probably additional information on assignment 5. So we evaluate what you write in the report, but of course a discussion can clarify something that we evaluated in positive or negative in the report. So that could change a little bit something. So how the oral discussion work? I said before, we try to dedicate half an hour to each group. Not that each group should talk for half an hour, but that half an hour is presentation plus question. So the first time that you decide to do the exam of this course, the entire group should be present. And all the people in the group should present. So everybody should speak. It's not acceptable that one person in the team speak and the others stay here as background. You all should speak. And the presentation works in this way. The group came, let's say that we are in this room. The groups came here, attach the computer, tablet, whatever, and project the work. And the discussion is divided in 3 parts. The first part is a very brief introduction to the project. Like, our project is called like this, and we focus on that, and our target population is that one. Brief like this. So no slides, just 1 minute talking about, to give the context. Because I can have a very clear idea of all the project in my slot, but there are other 2 teachers at the exam that will listen. So they won't have read the report of the groups in my slot, and vice versa. I won't have read the report of the other slots. So that's brief introduction is what is needed for me and for the others to understand what we are talking about. What's the project about? Like 1-2 minutes. You don't need much more than that. Then the second step that is indeed the most significant is the demonstration of the implemented prototype, where every student in the team cover a portion of it and every student in the team talk. After that, so the large part of the oral discussion is indeed the demonstration. The third part of the oral discussion is answering some questions from the teachers. And this part will only be about your project. So we are not going to ask any theoretical question about anything, just things that are in your report or that you showed us in the demonstration. And generally what happens is that the teacher of the slot asks fewer questions to the group than the other teachers. So the groups in my slot will expect fewer questions from me than from the other teachers, and vice versa. That's why, because I know the projects, I know the reasoning, I know some choices that the groups made, so I already know the answer, some maybe things that you didn't say very, very clearly because I was in the room for the entire semester with you, but the other two teachers were not. And vice versa, I would ask probably more questions to Tommaso, and I will ask more questions to Alberto team, and Alberto and I will ask more questions to Tommaso teams, so everybody get more or less the same number of questions. Again, about the project, about your idea, about what you did during the semester in this practical part. So of the three parts, the most critical is the demonstration that must be prepared carefully. So what I mean for a most critical prepared is that you can choose, of course, which kind of demonstration you want to do. You can choose which kind of story you want to tell. And the easy story, in a way that is very computer engineer, is that I'm going to list you the feature of the application one at a time. So here you can see feature number 1 that works in this way. And now here you can see feature number 2 that work in this way. And now here you can see feature number 3 that work in this way. This is probably one of the worst way to present, to demonstrate a project, because it's a series of features disconnected with your tree task, disconnected, that by the way you can introduce in the brief introduction, the tree task. It's a bad way to integrate things in one presentation that is in general. For any demonstration you will do. A better way is to provide example, provide structure, provide again a story. So instead of saying, here you can see feature 1, let me show you feature 1, and then here you can see feature 2, let me see feature 2, separate, maybe feature 1 is in one page and feature 2 is another page and they are disconnected. A better way is to say, we target university student. So now I'm going to show you the interface for assuming you are a university student that want to do this, want to reach this task, want to reach this goal. And I'm showing you around, covering all the features, but without pointing out the feature, just telling the story of this student doing things on the application that was designed and created for him or her. So putting that in your target user shoes is a more effective way to show around the application and makes more sense because it gives more context, more and links together the various features in a way that are connected, more connected than just showing feature around. So this is typically a better way to prepare a demonstration, any demonstration. But of course, this is more difficult to prepare because you need to find a story, find tasks, put text that is coherent in the application among the different actions that you are going to do in the application. One thing that we don't need to cover is anything that is in the report and anything that is in the code, because we already have read the report and we can have a look at the code. So you don't need to talk about that. You just need to give an introduction to the project, demonstrate the entirety of the implemented high fidelity project, and then answer some question, keeping in mind that everybody should be present and everybody should present the first time the team enroll at the exam. I don't think I have anything else in my mind to tell you about the exam, so I'm open to question before moving to the report. Yes. There is a structure that is already online since 1 month at least, and you have to follow the structure. There is not like a stylistic template, no. A structure, what you have to cover, which order, yes, and I'm going to, it's already online, but I'm going to present it after. Is not needed to publish the project anywhere. It's just needed that you came here, connect your computer, or whatever it is, and it works. You can decide to publish it somewhere if it's helpful for you for the usability testing, maybe, because it's easier than not, but it's not mandatory. It's up to the group. Any other question? Hmm? Yes, the first part I got it, the second part.
So it's fine. If you got the first part.
No, the first part was like a web application 1, and the other?
The way to do for the exam.
Well, I don't know. So what we did, so the difference with web application is that those are individual, these are group-based. That's the only difference, actually. And so what we did until last year, and I'm still debating if it's a good idea or not, is that we ask you, your colleagues, to tell us when you cannot be there because you have an exam. So we have 1 day of exam, whatever it is. So if you like our 5 groups, we can do them in the morning. If you have 10, we need the entire day. So the number of overlaps happens, but are like minimal. But if there are like 20 groups, we need to continue multiple days. And so there, the overlaps with other exam may happens. So what we did last year when there are multiple groups and we needed more days, or the full day, was to ask the group, tell us by this date if there is any moment you cannot. And it was a little bit chaotic on my side because I was receiving, we cannot go there, we cannot go there. And then trying to figure out when to put everybody. But it worked in the last 3 years. But so this option 1 is doing like we did in the past, and option 2 is having you pick a slot for the entire group, but that will need, again, you to talk with the group and one person only fill out the form. Otherwise, I have like 4 slots for the same group, and that should not happen, of course. And differently from web application, well, especially if you did the Italian course, in this case, we are really able to keep within the 30 minutes. That is way different from web application. So when we say 30 minutes, it happens right. I think last year happened like 2 or 3 times that we did over the 30 minutes, but it was 2 or 3 times where there were like significant problem in the project. So there was like multiple questions and then difficulty in answering and etc. So it happened rarely because in theory, since you can pick one session when you want, with no penalty. So you can come the first seat, or you can come in September, and there will be no difference in the score. It's just you deciding when it's better for the team to be there. If you came prepared, that will be like sort of easy or not too complex to stay in the 30 minutes because you have prepared everything. And if you are not able to prepare everything, maybe it's not the right exam, the right session to attend. So in some way, we will ask you for incompatibility. I don't know which is the way yet, but yeah, the short answer. Any other question?
Writing for the final report, do we have to take into account the previous deliverable and follow that structure?
There is a separate structure for the final report.
Yeah,
Ah.
no, I mean that do we have to take the information from the deliverable and then we can refine after all the lab checks?
Yes, we
Change the information from there.
basically the final report is asking you the information, a superset of the information that you already provided for the individual assignment. A superset because maybe we are going to ask you some more clarification, some more details, something more about the choices, because in the feedback were just slides. Here is a report, and it was like interaction and speaking with people. Now instead is a report that we need to read without you. So we need a little bit more information, but the things are the one you did and you wrote or edited after the feedback for the individual assignment. So if you wrote already quite a lot, you can copy and paste and then edit from that.
Okay, so use the information,
Yeah.
but the part that is taken into account is just the final report, and we can use.
Yeah, we are not going to open again the previous assignment. The previous assignment was for the feedback session and then forgotten. Everything should be in the final report. You can link things, like if you have external materials, you can link things from the final report to the A4 folder, let's say, or the A2 folder where there is the paper prototype PDF. That's fine, but no linking to the slides that you created. They were just functional for the feedback. Anything else? Yes.
Can people reject the mark?
Yes.
What happens? Which part, like only the oral part?
No. Okay. So that's a good question. So let's say that, again, the 4 of them came to the first seat because they are prepared and, I don't know, they get 30, but he get 25 because, I don't know, for whatever reason. And that's a terrible example. Let's say that they get 28 and he get 25, because otherwise there is no range of opportunity for the project. So after the exam, we tell you the score. So let me add a background. After the exam, we typically tell you the score immediately. So your group present and we tell you, okay, you got 26, 20, 28, 28, 28, 25. And the difference, we can tell you, the difference is because your heuristic evaluation get the maximum and he's not. So there is no difference in the project, but the difference on the score is just on the heuristic evaluation. Let's say that this is the case. So you cannot redo the heuristic evaluation. The heuristic evaluation is forever. So if you got 4 points, you get 4 points for the entire year. But of course, they get 28, not 30. So probably there is margin of improvement in the report or in the discussion. And so he alone can decide that he don't want 26, whatever the score it was. He prefer like a higher score. And so he can, after the exam, discuss with the teacher of his lot, that in this case is me, and to see what can be improved in the report or in the discussion, or both. And came again redeliver the final report fixed and redo the oral discussion, and he will do it alone. So the first time, the entire group should be there. The second, the third, the fourth time, a subset of the group deciding to reject the score for whatever reason can present and submit a new version of the deliverable, a new version of the report, and redo the oral discussion from scratch. And this will not guarantee a better score, we just guarantee a different score. And of course, if there are things like a significant error, let's say in the paper prototype, that is not going to be fixed, cannot be fixed at the exam, an error on the paper prototype that happened before, or if you receive a feedback and you didn't implement the feedback and then that caused losing point, was feedback like 2 months ago, so it's too late now to fix it. But if something about the oral discussion, something about the clarity in the report, something that you did but you didn't write, something like that, that could be, are, let's say, minor things that could maybe move the score up of 1, 2. Well, it depends how bad is the final report, but let's say if it's not terrible and can be improved, just writing better, that could be something to give you a few points. Of course, not from 18 to 30. That's almost impossible in my experience. So another things that happened too frequent for, well, not too frequent, it happens happened more than once, let's say, is that a group wasn't ready to came to a session, but they did anyway. And so what happens is that they get a score that they don't like, and they came to the second seat, or the third one. So in this case, my suggestion is if you are not ready, and you discover that you are not ready even the day before to the exam, just tell us that you are not going to come, that you're coming in another seat, and there will be no problem. It's actually better for everybody, including you, not to waste that hour, that day, and then get a score that you don't like, and having to re-prepare, resubmit everything another time. Is not enough for, there is not, getting the feedback from the exam is not enough for dedicating all the time. So try to be present. If you don't have any specific constraint that some of you can have, try to come to the session that you are most ready for. So right now I see 34 people enrolled in the first seat and 0 in the second one. So that's, keep in mind these in selecting which session, which exam you are going to enroll to as a team. Any other question? Otherwise, we move to the structure, the final report. Well, if you have other questions, you can ask later. So structure the final report. The structure of the final report is online, I think, since assignment 5 is online, so quite some weeks now. So the final report, this document gives you the structure of the final report and what should be included in the final report. It starts with like a reminder what I told you. Everything should be ready 7 days before each exam day. The code should be in one repository, and the final group report as a PDF, as a document, should be in the group repository. And there are the link to the slides about the oral discussion. So You see, when appropriate, you can link any requested additional material from the A1, A2, A4, A5 folders of your repository, if needed, like consent form for A1 or A5 that can just be linked in the folder, in the proper folder. So, as I was saying before, it follows the structure of the individual or the assignment. So, at the beginning, you should start with project name, value proposition, team member's name, and the group name. That's easy one. Then you should have a section that's called the problem solution overview that in 2-4 sentences, so not a lot of text, explain which is the problem that you identified and which is the solution you came up with. And then there is, let's say, a section about need finding, in which you have first describe the domain of interest within your team, and why you choose it. That's what we ask you already in assignment 1. Then for the interviews, you have to report participants, so who you interviews, who was the immediate, intermediate, extreme user, who the domain expert, how many interviews you did, etc. So everything that was in assignment 1 and we already discussed. You can use a table, you can use multiple pages as you prefer. Then you have to talk about the methodology and the execution. So the planning and how you run the interviews. So where they happened, in front of a museum, in a building, at home, etc. How you recruit people, which are the inclusion criteria, which are the exclusion criteria, everything again you did. The consent form, if you ask it, if they give it, where is the consent form, you can link it to the folder in assignment 1. Which were the questions you asked to them? Both the structured question, then the non-structured question you came up with, the follow-up. Any material you use, the roles of the team members for each interviews. If you did any observation or contextual inquiry, which was how it went, which was how you manage that, how you plan it as a methodology and execution, etc. Again, everything that was assignment 1. And then the third part of interviews is results. So the pictures you have taken and was asked in assignment 1, a summary of the answers of all the interviews, the key quotes as we ask you in assignment 1, what you learned, what you're bringing home from the interviews, etc. Any additional material used for interviews, like the consent form, can be added at the end of the report in an appendix or linked directly from A1 folder. Then it asks you for a synthesis. So summarize the brainstorming process you did to extract the need. What you did, which tool you use, like Miro or piece of paper or post-it notes, whatever, etc. List of brainstorm user need with picture that you already have included in the slides, each connected explicitly to one or more interview and answers. So these user needs, number 1, not the deep user need, just the user needs came from interview, the third answer to the first interview and the third answer to the second interview. So linking them like we already told you in assignment 1 in the feedback session, and then present the 3-4 deep user needs you selected and why you selected them. Then solutions, report the 5 or more solution for each deep user need you thought and how you created them. Again, tell us what you did and how you did what you did. And which is the top solution about the 5 or more that you picked, the rationale behind it, and how you decided on it. Then task and storyboard. List the simple, moderate, and complex tasks, why you choose them, and why are they important for the target population. Include. So every time this document say include means that you have to include into the document what we ask you, not link to, but include into. The storyboard, so a picture of the storyboard within the document, and specify in text why you choose it, the strength, the limitation, the weaknesses, and how well it achieved the 3 tasks and the user need you identified in the previous step. Low fidelity prototype. Describe the alternatives you consider to create the paper prototypes, all the alternatives you considered, and then report which are the 2 selected alternative you selected, like mobile phone, touch, and desktop application, for instance, and why you selected them, reporting your target device platform if it's not included, of course, in the selected alternative description for whatever reason. It could be like alternative is virtual reality, and that virtual reality could be on a computer, could be on headset, so the device is separate from the alternative description in this case. Then paper prototype, report the 2 realized paper prototype, inserting inside the document a set of digital photos or scan of them with caption from the paper prototype, from the screens of the paper prototype, the individual screens of the paper prototype. Then summarize how they connect to the storyboard, the goal of the project, and the 3 tasks, and how well they make the most of the adopted modalities. So how well the paper prototype benefit from the mobile phone, how well it benefit from the augmented reality, whatever you choose as an alternative. And then finally, include the high-level flow of both prototype, again, as a picture within the document. Then heuristic evaluation. So this is not the heuristic evaluation you did, this is the heuristic evaluation you received as a group. So summarize what you, as a group, did to prepare and execute the heuristic evaluation. So not as evaluator, but you prepared the piece of paper, you prepared the task, you prepared this context, and you said this thing, and one of you acted as facilitator, this other person acted as computer for all the participants, for some of that. Describe what you did. And what did happen during the evaluation? You talk a lot, you didn't talk a lot with the expert. The evaluation was short, the evaluation was very long, etc. Again, what happened? Then describe the risk evaluation you received for your prototype, summarizing the results from the evaluator, that is basically assignment 4, part of assignment 4, and fully report the list of the evaluation for both prototype with duplicated merge, work that you already did. And then selection, report which paper prototype you selected and why, and then again, if you decided to move one feature from another, specify which feature and how you planned to do them. This is again assignment 4. Yes.
What is the difference between describe the risk evaluation you received and report the list of violations? In which sense do you describe the risk evaluation you received?
It's a little bit more high level and probably shorter. So in the risk evaluation you did, let's put on the other perspective, you had the full list of violations, but you also have comments and consideration. So if you received one like fully formatted document with the list and the consideration, here you should talk also about the other consideration that the evaluator did, not just the list of violations. And if you did not, maybe during the evaluation there were comments that emerged, there were things you noticed, so that are described, like summarize the results, and then here the long list of everything that happened, okay? Then medium to high fidelity prototype. Report what tool you used to create a choose screen of the medium fidelity prototype, describe why and how you choose those screens, and why they are the most significant one. And if there are fixed violation, level 3 and 4, fixed in those 2 screens, as they could be, write which are. Reference, like before, you write a list of things, like violation number 1, violation number 2, violation number 3. Here you can say, these screens fix violation number 1 in this way. So without even reporting everything, just mention the previous added list. Add a link to the 2 screens for instance, a link to the Figma project, and write how you plan to solve the evaluation in the high fidelity prototype. Again, the end of assignment 4. With a bit about if you disagree with the evaluator, justify the discussion, the decision, etc. Then, high fidelity prototype and usability testing, so assignment 5. Describe the tool, framework, libraries that you technically used for creating the project and why you selected them. Add a link to the provided GitHub repository, just for our convenience, with the code. Explain and motivate any significant design choice and changes you applied to the prototype which did not stem from fixing the violation. So they are not included in the previous section. Because that happens that maybe you decided to move a feature from one thing to another and you didn't design that page for whatever reason, but that is a totally new page for the high fidelity prototype. Or you just realize that the button that you put in that way are not working well with in the high fidelity for whatever reason, for colors, for spacing, etc. And so you use a different size, a different layout. Those things, the significant one, at least the significant one, write about them in the report. So if you change like, not color because there was no color, but if you change like a button from large to medium, that's not important. If you redesign, move things around, move from one modality to, from a video to a photo, for whatever reason, that's could be a significant design choice. Then describe and report the picture, so include them, the picture of the most significant screens of the prototype, with screens defined as before. So pages or screenshots, anyway, of the prototype and why they are significant to you. That could be 2, that could be 3, that could be 5. Pick the most important for you and describe why they are. And show the fixes to the evaluation and how they cover the 3 tasks. So in selecting the significance, if like this screen is for the last part of task number 3, and this button and this other thing and this other thing are actually fixes for violation number 3, violation number 5, violation number 7 of the table before. Report how you follow the standards and constraints of the target device, and comment about the adopted visual design, like colors, layout, things that were absent in the previous prototypes. And finally, comment on the hard-coded part, the pre-stored data, and then the limitation that your prototype has. Like we added 5 items because they were enough for proving the points, or this is data stored in like static data here. Just list and comment these parts. And then usability testing. So preparation and run, describe the evaluation you conducted. Again, participant, team member role, similar to the interview, similar to the preparation we did in class. The set of tasks you ask participant to do, methodology used for each task with motivation, etc. The matrix, the questionnaire you decide to use. And add the link to a PDF document that represents the usability testing protocol and any consent form and questionnaire you used. So the script could be linked from the report. And then results. Summarize the results and the finding together with any relevant pain points and or successful task. Reporting quantitative and qualitative metrics according to the choices you did. So if you measure time, you have to report time in the results. If you did a SUS questionnaire, you should report the results of the SUS questionnaire in the results, etc. Include the photos you took during the evaluation with suitable caption as requested by assignment 5. Then discuss what you discovered and learn about your prototype after all the evaluation, and write a non-trivial list of potential changes that your team would like to implement to fix the main issue emerged from usability testing, and justify each change by explaining which piece of feedback generate it. And let me highlight non-trivial And most importantly, let me highlight potential and would like to implement. That means you identify something that can be changed, but you are not asked to change them. Just identify them. Then if you also want to change, it's not requested, you can do it for whatever reason, but it's not requested. You just need to identify which are the changes after the usability testing. And then conclusion is more a general conclusion about what were the main learning from this semester, about the overall process we followed, the human-centered process we followed, your lab team and your own project, and about the feedback, the question that we also asked, we will also ask, but also we ask you to write here, how did you split the work within the group in general over the semester? Any positive and negative aspects you experience as a group, again, during the course. And that is 9 chapters, 9 sections in the report. And again, whatever you did and you are not writing in the report are opportunity for you to get a worse score, essentially. So tell us what you did, because otherwise we cannot assess how well or how bad you did things. And if you don't tell us, you don't get an assessment, that means 0 for that part. Again, no predefined stylistic templates, no maximum or minimum length. Use the space you need for writing everything you need to write. Any question again on this part, on the exam? Mm-hmm.
We have to push on the folder for the 75, right?
No, I don't. Well, I don't care. I mean, it could be outside of all the folders. So the final report should be in your group repository. Not the one for the code. The code should be like in the code repository, and the document repository should have the final report. But that could be also in the root. Well, ideally, the final report is in the root of the repository, not in the A5 folder, because it's more than A5. It's also cover A1, A2, A3, A4, and not A3. Everything else. Yes.
For the summary of the answers for the interview,
Yes.
we have to do the summary of every answer of a user, or the summary of each answer of the user.
Say that again with more different sentences.
We have to summary all the answers together of an interview,
Or a single interview, you mean? Okay.
or for each answer.
It's the same, as you prefer. So you can say, okay, it's the same, but probably it's clearer the second one. So you can say these are. How can you summarize for each interview? Sorry. Okay. So to me, a summary is there is question number 1, and there is the summary of the 4 answers, let's say, for question number 1. I think that this is the simplest way. And then if there is like a question asked only of some people, like the domain expert, etc., that could be separate. Like a summary of the question for the immediate user, like question 1 to the immediate user, the summary of the 3 answers together, and then there could be a similar part for the domain expert or the expert user.
So we have to rewrite all the questions because we wrote them in.
You need to copy and paste all the questions from that document to this one. Yes. Everything should be inside that. If it's not inside, it's written a link. Otherwise, it should be inside.
Some interview was done in English, others in Italian.
Yeah, that's why it's a summary. of the answers. So you summarize the answer in English. Yes. Well, you put together, so you don't really translate the answer. I mean, you translate the meaning of the answer. So maybe two people said more or less the same thing, but one in Italian, one in English. You just do an average of what they said in English. Yeah, the report should be entirely in English.
So we have the question, and after that,
Yes, you can say, so it's, I was saying something I cannot not record it at least. But it's not against you. So to me, the most effective way to do that is question number 1 is this one. And then in the answer say, all interviewees said that they like pasta. Instead, in addition, the third interview said also that they like pizza. I don't know, but this way, you don't have to put the literal question inside.
As for the final presentation, does it matter that, as the aspect of the score, does it matter that the presentation take programs like statics, like modern dynamics, like hard-coded? Does it affect the score or not?
It depends if there are good reasons to be.
Like for sure, the report has more valuable score. So if we don't use dynamic, we can like use it leftover time to make the report. The presentation has to be like presentation, but what does it mean for the
What do you mean the presentation has to be the presentation?
like if for example we use like a database,
Yes,
instead we could use hardware.
yes.
But is it connected to laptop and nothing is shown?
Well, two things. One is not that this document overrides the assignment 5. So assignment 5 asks you, for instance, to have all data that can be edited, created, deleted, etc. dynamically. So that data must be dynamically done, okay? And ask you to have persistency. So if I refresh the application in a usability testing, for instance, it may happen. I don't want to restart from scratch, but this is already said when we talk about usability testing. If the project has some hard-coded part or static part that are reasonable for the project because they are not created, edited, deleted, etc. And so there is no impact on demonstrating that the point is taken, then there should be no problem. But it's not that, like, since we want to work more on the report, we work less on the demo, or vice versa, right? Because again, in the report, you have to say which parts are coded and make a point about that, no? Grace. So if you say everything is hard-coded, then is impacting the report, is impacting the score about A5. So for each of this section, we use the same criteria that are in the individual assignment. So you have, at the end of each assignment, the criteria, look at them, because section 7 and 8 will be evaluating according to those criteria, to the criteria in assignment 5. They are just in two separate sections, but it's the same thing, okay? Anything else? Okay, so if you don't have any other question, this closes the classes for this course. We still have labs on Wednesday and in January, as usual, for you to work on assignment 5. Please use one of those two to talk with us about the tasks of usability testing, because as you have seen in the exercise is one of the most critical part for the usability testing, more than like recruiting people that you should have now a little bit more experience. So we use one of the two, if it's not this Wednesday, because the number of people here, maybe it could be the first Wednesday after the break. And if you don't want to use that, is again up to you, but in those two labs we are there to support you as for the entire course. With that, I will see some of you in the lab in 2 days. For the others, spend happy holidays and see you at the exam. And have a good evening.